Good afternoon and welcome to the U.S. Department of Justice Training on Coordinated Tribal Assistance and Solicitations for fiscal year 2018. My name is Tenzing Lun and I am Program Manager at OJJDP. I also have Kara McDonough and Kathy Mitchell, my colleagues, on webinar with me. Kara, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Kara McDonough. I'm a program specialist with OJJDP, and I'm glad to be here with you today.
Okay. So I think Kathy stepped out. So Kara and I will be taking you step by step through the important points of the 2018 solicitation as it relates to Purpose Area 8 and Purpose Area 9 available online through the Grants Management System for federally recognized tribes and tribal consortium. In this presentation, you will learn about how the CTAS is designed to help you understand Purpose Area 8 and 9 that is administered by Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP. We will also cover details of what is required in the application and how to apply. Please note that the CTAS application deadline is Tuesday, March 20th, 2018 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All applications must be submitted by this deadline. Please use Q&A box if you have any questions, and we will be addressing them at the end of the presentation. Also, recording of this webinar will be made available at the following web link. The Department of Justice is committed to a sustained partnership with tribal governments to improve justice and public safety in tribal communities. In an effort to build on the success of CTAS, DOJ asked tribes how to further refine and improve CTAS through an online assessment tool, consultation sessions, listening sessions, and focus groups. Many of these responses and suggestions are then incorporated into the next CTAS solicitation, which aims to be more user-friendly. Although CTAS provides one combined solicitation for all the purpose areas, the DOJ program offices that will administer the grants are under the Office of Justice Programs. We have Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, and the Office of Victims of Crime. Also, we have Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS Office, and Office of Violence Against Women, OVW. It is important to remember that although there is one central application process in CTAS, the programs and the requirements are administered by separate offices at DOJ that are governed statutes that authorizes the different forms of funding for which the tribes and their authorized designees are eligible to apply. A description of the Bureau and the offices that administer these grants and statutes attached to the purpose areas can be found on the website at www.justice.gov/tribal. The next two slides, my colleague Kara will be covering them.
The slide shows the varying funding levels for overall coordinated tribal assistance solicitation awards from 2014 through 2017. The total amounts shown are inclusive of all the purpose areas. What is also shown is the total number of applicants. This number reflects the total number of separate tribes that applied for CTAS in each year. The total applications reflects the number of different purpose areas that the tribes applied for. For example, in fiscal year 17, 225 tribes applied for 522 separate purpose area applications. We were able to fund 125 of those tribes for awards in 212 purpose areas. This slide shows more specifically the number of applications for each purpose area last year. Highlighted in pink are the numbers for purpose areas 8 and 9 administered through OJJDP, which we'll be talking about today. As you can see, we received 13 applications for purpose area 8 and were able to fund 8 of them. For purpose area 9, tribal youth programs, we received 81 applications and were able to fund 23 of them. This year, we anticipate making 6 awards in Purpose Area 8 and 19 awards in Purpose Area 9. However, we do not have the final definitive amounts of our available funding until we receive an approved budget. All Purpose Area 8 awards are for a maximum of $350,000, and all Purpose Area 9 awards are for a maximum of $400,000. Please apply for the amount that your tribe needs for a 4-year program with an initial planning year. There is no penalty for applying for less than the maximum amount, but if you include a budget that has more than the maximum amount, you will be asked to revise that budget should you receive an award.
So what is new in 2018 solicitation as it relates to Purpose Area 8 and 9? We have revised and refined question and answers template to provide more clarity and reduce duplication. We have redesigned budget worksheets so it is more user-friendly and reflects some software updates. Project abstracts are now required for all purpose area, including Purpose Area 8 and 9. Prior grantees, which include fiscal year 2014 Tribal Healing to Wellness Code responses to underage drinking initiative solicitation, as well as 2015, 2016, and 2017 Healing to Wellness, Juvenile Healing to Wellness Code grantees are not eligible to apply. Purpose Area 8 funding is limited to tribes seeking to develop new Juvenile Healing to Wellness codes. For Purpose Area 9, any active grantee, including those with project period end date of June 30th, 2019 or after at the time of application, are not eligible to apply for Purpose Area 9. And once again, just to review, for Purpose Area 8 in fiscal year 2018, we have estimated $2.1 million funding available, and we are hoping to fund 6 applications for up to $350,000 for 4 years. The overall purpose of Purpose Area 8 is to support tribes seeking to develop a new juvenile healing to wellness court to respond to the alcohol and substance use issues of juveniles and young adults under the age of 21. And we highly encourage tribes that have existing court systems that are interested in developing a new juvenile healing to wellness courts to apply. For Purpose Area 8, please review the 10 key components on page 45 to 47 of the solicitation for more detailed description of the Healing to Wellness Court model. All successful applicants will be required to work with our training and technical assistance provider to work through key objectives and deliverables that are stated in the solicitation over the course of 4-year award period. They will be working with you at every step from planning to implementation of your program. Under Purpose Area 8, you can request grant funds for staffing that can include salary and fringe benefits, for equipment and supplies, for training, travel, strategic planning, etc. Please remember that this is not an exhaustive list of areas that are allowable, so you can include things that are not listed here. While the funds may be allocated for program staff to attend training, all successful applicants will receive on-site and clustered training from our training providers for tribal juvenile healing to wellness courts. Funds are not allowed for additional consultants. In terms of additional requirements for Purpose Area 8, violence offenders cannot participate in the program, and definition for violence offenders is provided on page 49 of the solicitation. All successful applicants will be required to travel to strategic planning training and submit a comprehensive plan for implementation of their program, which will include a sustainability plan. And please don't worry, our training and technical assistance provider will be working with you closely and will assist you throughout the process. So in your Purpose Area 8 budget, in terms of travel, you must include these 4 travel. First one is 1 3-day strategic planning session for up to 4 people. For budget purposes, you can use Washington, D.C. As the location. 2 Purpose Area 8 specific training related events for 2 people, and once again you can use Washington, D.C. as a location for budgeting purposes, and 1 DOJ CTAS orientation meeting for 2 people, and for this you can use Palm Springs, California as a location. Please see GSA website to determine allowable per diem cost, travel cost, and you can find that on www.gsa.gov/portal/category. To apply for Purpose Area 8, you must submit a Purpose Area 8 narrative. Please feel free to use template that's provided in the GMS link below, and also we will have additional sample templates that you can access and review without a password.
Hi, this is Kara McDonough, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Tribal Youth Program, which is Purpose Area 9. OJJDP's congressional mandate specifies that the funding in this purpose area must be used for youth up to age 18. If you have youth who have started in your program prior to age 18, you can continue to serve them. But as you are designing your program, please know that you may not recruit youth to begin the program as a young person age 18 or older. The tribal youth programs are used by tribes for a wide variety of programs to meet the needs of their youth. We at OJJDP are aware that tribes have widely varying histories, cultures, resources, and needs, and we encourage applicants to propose programs that are tribally driven and that meet gaps in your prevention, intervention, and treatment responses to juvenile delinquency. While OJJDP understands that tribes may desire to use the funds to meet staffing or other needs in multiple areas, we do recommend that you consider proposing a comprehensive project that can have an impact in one particular area. We also recommend that you review and assess any strategic plans, tribal action plans, and previous or ongoing efforts to benefit tribal youth, and that you propose programs that are in alignment with those efforts. Because this is a 4-year grant and funding beyond that period is not guaranteed, community support to sustain the effort beyond the grant period is critical. There are many examples of tribal youth program approaches that have been used by tribes, and some of them are outlined on pages 51 and 52 of the solicitation. Please also note there are several links that point you to additional OJJDP documents that may be helpful resources as you design your program narrative. My colleague Tenzing outlined this list for Purpose Area 8, and there is also a list of allowable expenses that can be included in your budget for Purpose Area 9. This is not an exhaustive list, but a sample of items that are regularly included in the budgets of TYP programs. We do ask that you not include funding for on-site consultants, as we have funding already budgeted for training and technical assistance providers that will be made available to your programs through the TYP Training and Technical Assistance Center. A little bit later in the presentation, you'll be seeing some slides about resources that are available through that center. When you're completing your budget and budget narrative for Purpose Area 9, please note that there are several required training events that OJJDP requests that you include. While we have indicated the location for you to use in preparing your budget, the actual location for the training will be determined after tribes receive their awards. But for the sake of being able to complete your budget, we do ask that you use Washington, D.C. as the location for the first 3-day strategic planning session. And you can use Washington, D.C. for 2 other specific training events for 2 people. And then we ask that you use Palm Springs, California as the location for the CTAS orientation meeting. And that is also for 2 people. All applications were built in GMS using a template with questions that were designed partly as a result of feedback from tribes. You will need your password in GMS to access the document, but if you would like to review the questions prior to beginning the process of completing your application, you can do so using the link on this slide. On this slide, there are a few tips based on our experience with tribes applying for CTAS. Because the application is completed in our grants management system, which we call GMS, we ask that you register with GMS early, no later than the end of this month. There are instructions to register at the link provided on the screen, and there's also a GMS help desk that's available 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time, except federal holidays. If you have any trouble at all registering for GMS, please call the help desk and they'll walk you through the entire process. There is no way to submit an application without registering for GMS. The other 2 things that need to be done in advance of applying is acquiring a data universal numbering system, a DUNS number, well in advance of applying. The process for acquiring a DUNS number is, there are several steps involved in acquiring the DUNS number, and they all take time. So if you get to the deadline and you go to submit your application and you do not have a DUNS number, the system will not let you actually apply. And we have seen tribes who have come up against this issue, and unfortunately they did a lot of work and were not able to submit their application. So we like to remind people that this is something that needs to be done in advance. And that is also the case with acquiring or renewing your registration with the SAM database. The SAM database is a process that used to be called the CCR. So you, as a tip, you will want to double check with whoever is responsible for that at your tribe and make sure that those things are up to date and current. Another tip is that only 1 application per tribe or tribal consortium is accepted. There are instances where different parts of a tribe may have submitted different applications, and in that case, the Department of Justice will only accept the last application that was submitted. So please be sure to do the coordination on your end so that the last application that's submitted by your tribe is the one that you want considered for this award. An application can be worked on in CTAS and revised up until the deadline, but we highly, highly recommend that you submit your final and complete package well before the deadline. If for any reason at all you're not able to submit an electronic application and you would like to submit a paper application, that has a deadline of Thursday, February 15th, 2018, and the number is on your screen to call to make sure that you are registered to be able to submit your paper application. And this is a look back on the application timeline. This year, the solicitation opened on January 3rd. As my colleague indicated, it will close, I'm sorry, this is actually not correct here. It closes 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 20th, 2018. And if you are requesting to submit a paper copy, you must contact the Response Center again by Thursday, February 15th, 2018. And the awards will be made no later than September 30th, 2018. Again, I just want to point out that the closing date on this solicitation is March 20th, 2018. Again, you probably have heard us say this multiple times on different webinars if you've been on them. Please don't wait until the last day or the last minute. We've seen some extremely unfortunate cases where people ran into technical glitches at the last minute and their application was not able to be submitted and was not able to be considered. And every year it really breaks our heart to see that happen to people. So our best advice for you is to get your application in early and to make sure that it's final and it's complete. It's been looked over by several different people with fresh eyes to make sure that all the different required components are there and that they're the final version that you want to submit. We've also seen unfortunate, cases where some draft documents were submitted as final, possibly because people were rushing to meet the deadline. And unfortunately, we do not have a process for you to be able to give us updated documents after the deadline. So for additional help on this application, we do have a website that contains solicitations. There are sample applications for every purpose area. There are frequently asked questions. There are fact sheets. There are also archived webinars for every webinar that we have completed so far. We have had an overview of the entire CTAS process. That was the first webinar that we did, and you can find the link and listen to the archived webinar from this website. We had a budget development webinar also earlier in this process. We highly recommend that you listen to that webinar if you were not able to attend. The budget worksheet is a specific worksheet for CTAS. You're not required to use that worksheet, but we do highly recommend that you do because it has all the different required elements in one place. The CTAS solicitation is also available, and again, this webinar will be archived in a few weeks, and if you wanted to listen to it again or have other team members listen to it again, you can access it at the link that is shown, www.justice.gov/tribal/webinars. We also have a response center. Please, any question that you have at all, contact the response center through the number that is shown on your screen or through tribal grants at usdoj.gov. Every request is logged by our response center, and it's important that we keep track of the kind of questions that are coming up because it may indicate a need for us to make some adjustments on the solicitation. So please reach out to the response center if you have questions about any part of this. You can also sign up for email updates. You'll get blasts when new webinars are uploaded, if there's any changes to anything, and the red arrow on your screen indicates where you can sign up for that listserv. Additional resources that we have that are also available at that same website include an online preparation guide. It's available to help you with the process of bringing together an entire team of people. This solicitation is highly complex, as you probably know from reviewing it, and it requires a lot of people with a lot of different kinds of expertise. And so this preparation guide kind of helps take you through the process of bringing together all those people and submitting a high-quality application. You can find it at www.justice.gov/tribal/grants, which is where if you look on the left side of your screen, you'll see where you will click, which is the grants CTAS. And in the beginning of that page, you'll see information about the actual solicitation, but you'll need to scroll down, and then you'll find the online guide, and you click where the red arrow is there with the link that says Explore the Tool. The tool was specifically developed for use by tribes, so we did gather a lot of different feedback from tribal applicants, and we hope that it's really useful to you. Additional resources are also available at our Tribal Youth Training and Technical Assistance Center website. We have resources that are available to all federally recognized tribes, whether or not you are an OJJDP grantee or whether or not you are a grantee of any Department of Justice programs. So we encourage you to visit the website and to sign up for the listserv. We do different kinds of webinars that are pertinent to programs for tribal youth, and we would love to have you take advantage of those resources. In addition, we have another set of resources that are also available at the website. They are virtual training simulations, which are basically training opportunities that use avatars, which are the figures that you see on your screen here. The screenshot in this particular avatar is from a training module about helping police officers interact more effectively and in a trauma-informed way with tribal youth. And those, again, are available free of any kind of charge for any federally recognized tribe or their partner. So there are 3 of those simulations that are available at the website. One is the trauma-informed policing for tribal youth, and that's specifically for law enforcement. And then there's also one designed for high school educators and designed for peers. And they are to identify the symptoms of emotional distress and help young people find resources in their area. And there is more information on the website to help walk you through the use of these simulations with your tribe. You can certainly build these tools into your program that you're proposing for this CTAS application, or you can also just use them separately and pass them on. So just a last tip about preparing your CTAS application. You'll want to really read this application very well and multiple times. It's a very dense application. There are a lot of details that are relevant to your final application, making it through the successful peer review. So you want to read, you want to design an intervention based on the assessment of your community's needs. You want to organize the resources and the different pieces of this application effectively to make sure that a full and complete package is submitted in GMS. And you want to assess the viability of your program based on the information that you provide, and partner with as many organizations, your tribal, your state, and your federal partners. And please attend to the details to make sure that they don't get in the way of a good review at the federal level. Again, the deadline is Tuesday, March 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you, Kara. All right, now we're going to enter into the question and answer part of the webinar. If you have any questions you would like to ask the presenters, please type them in to the question and answer pod. Also, we have a webinar survey. It's the bottom left-hand side of your screen. If you click on the link and hit Browse To, it will send you directly to the webinar. Please fill that out and let us know how we did today. We do take your comments seriously and helps us plan for next year. Also, do not forget the presentation for download right next to the webinar survey pod. If you click on whichever PDF or PowerPoint document, you can click on that, and then you can either upload or download the file. If you want to, download both of them. And then if you have any additional questions, you can contact the DOJ Response Center at tribalgrants@usadoj.gov, or you can call them toll-free at 1-800-421-6770. All right, we will get to your questions. The first question, in previous years, we were able to upload application materials in PDF format via the GMS system. Is this still the case, or has GMS gone to a different web interface?
Thanks for your question, Joe. Are you finding that you, I'm sorry, if you could please clarify, are you finding that you are not able to upload application materials in PDFs? I'm not aware of any changes that have happened to the interface. If you could clarify your question.
Okay, and if you can please just clarify again the deadline for Purpose Area 9. Is it February 27th or March 20th?
The deadline is March 20th. I apologize for the mistake on one of the slides in this presentation. That was the deadline from last year. But the deadline is March 20th of 2018 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. And just to let everyone know, if you look in the chat box, Tenzing has provided the link to the 2018 CTAS solicitation. So if you need that solicitation, you can click on that link and it should take you directly to it. Next question, can Purpose Area 8 be used to enhance the code revision addressing juvenile delinquency and truancy, perhaps including a juvenile healing to wellness court?
If you, Purpose Area 8 is specifically designed with, in mind that a court system or a tribe is planning to start a new juvenile tribal healing to wellness program. So if you don't have one in your tribe, you can definitely apply for Purpose Area 8 funding to start that program. And yes, in some ways it can be used to, to include, if you're starting a juvenile healing to wellness program, you probably would need to add some statutes or some language to your existing codes. So yes.
Okay, in response to the first question, where in previous years we were able to upload the materials in PDF, if there are no changes to the GMS system, then the person said he is good to go.
Okay, great.
All right, if there's any more questions, please type them into the question and answer pod. Next question. I saw that internet services were funded. Does that include setting up a tower to allow internet to community homes so students can do homework and research after school activity? Purpose Area 9.
Thanks for your question. I think that it's a good question. We have not had that question before, so that would be something we would need to research. In general, I think that construction services are not funded and are not allowable under this purpose area. But I'm not entirely sure whether our finance office would consider setting up a tower construction. So it's one of those things that what you might want to do is include it in your proposal and give adequate justification, and then make sure that you are able to break down the costs of it. And if it turns out that it's not allowable, you would find out, in the, should you be funded, then our finance office would, work with you around, there may be pieces of it that are allowable and other pieces that are not allowable. So sometimes I think I see a follow-up to the question here. And Daniel,
yes, what about purchasing modems, yes, or wireless hotspots for student homes?
Purchasing modems or wireless hotspots would certainly be technically allowable. But again, it's important that you provide background on the justification for this and on how you would use it specifically to assist young people with the goals and objectives that you have outlined in your proposal.
Okay, and it looks like some of them are trying to click on the link to the solicitation for download, and it says the link is not working, and it says the web page cannot be found. So we'll get the correct link in the chat box for you. All right, we still have plenty of time. It looks like 20 more minutes to go. If you have any additional questions, we will get to them.
I'll just say a few more words about allowable and unallowable items. We do have an OJP financial guide, and we can put the link to that here in the chat box in just a minute. And the OJP financial guide lays out a variety of considerations around allowable and unallowable items. But on a broader level, as a piece of advice, it's really important that you include a justification as for why you're including certain things. So, if you're in an extremely remote area, and you're not able to, access, certain supplies on the regular basis, the people who are reviewing your application may not know that already. We do try really hard to have our peer reviewers have tribal experience, but that doesn't mean that they are familiar with all the very unique and specific circumstances that may be causing you to recommend a certain kind of purchase or a certain kind of approach. So the best way to handle that is really just to make sure that you provide specific details about why you came to the conclusions that you came to and why you're including the things that you're including in your program and in your budget.
Okay, and just FYI for everybody, the solicitation link is now available in the left-hand corner down there in the webinar survey pod. If you highlight that, it'll populate in the Browse To. Just click Browse To, and that should take you to the solicitation. Next question, we have a hydrotherapy pool that needs equipment/fixing. Is this allowable? This would help our youth at our intergenerational center to utilize this for the therapy needs.
This is another really good question. There is nothing in our in Purpose Area 9. I'm assuming that you're asking for Purpose Area 9. Unless this is construction, there's nothing that would prohibit this being included. However, the most important part is that this would be tied very clearly to your narrative and to your program design. And that's just an overall general kind of piece of advice for everybody who's writing an application and a proposal. And this is highlighted very well in that online tool that I talked about earlier. That the different pieces of your proposal are linked together and that the dots are connected. So if you're proposing something that really doesn't have anything to do with hydrotherapy, let's say you're proposing something to do with truancy and, let's say with truancy. And then you include in your budget something about the hydrotherapy pool needing, equipment and fixing, and there's nothing that helps the reviewers to connect the dots on those things. Most assuredly, that would raise questions and would likely lower your peer review score. So, the easy answer is to say we don't have anything that would prohibit you including that in your budget. And the more nuanced answer would be, you want to really look at how you connect the dots between all the areas of your application and your budget.
Okay, we still have time for additional questions. Please type them in the question and answer box. Thank you. Next question. Can a traditional language mentor be funded through Purpose Area 9, teaching language activities after school?
Yes, a mentor can be included in your Purpose Area 9 budget. There are, if this person, there's several different ways that you could include funding for this person. They could be obviously brought on as a staff person. They could also be brought on as a consultant, or you could include a stipend for them. The one thing that is not allowable is to include an honorarium. So I think the way that DOJ reads the word honorarium is as a payment that's sort of, not connected to a particular set of activities. And so if you're going to include them and put a stipend for them, please don't use the word honorarium. Maybe we could give just a few more minutes for any lingering questions that people might have.
Yep, one more question came through. Is there a specific evaluation component for purpose areas, or develop our own? Purpose Area 9.
Okay. There is not a specific evaluation component that we ask for Purpose Area 9, but we do have a strategic planning requirement. So what that means is when tribes are awarded a Purpose Area 9 grant, we go through a process with our Tribal Youth Training and Technical Assistance Center where we bring people together to develop a strategic plan that looks at the program and the different components of the program, and evaluation is one of those components. And the reason why we do that for several reasons. One is to help build that plan to hopefully increase the sustainability potential of the program. And the other one is that we found that the strategic plans can be really useful in terms of any kind of staff turnover that might happen during the life of the grant.
Okay, next question. Hi, Kara. Since strategic planning is part of the post-award process, is it helpful to keep the application narrative somewhat general and flexible, or would this lower your score?
Hi, Kurt. That's a really good question. Kurt is asking from the perspective of a program that has been funded through OJJDP before. And so he is aware that there is this strategic planning process in which, changes can be made and more specific kinds of, descriptors can be included. I would say that you don't want your program design to be too general, because it is being reviewed by, a team of peer reviewers, and they're looking for, a really comprehensive answer to the questions that are being asked. What you can do is to indicate that you're aware that the strategic planning process, will happen, and that you intend to make any kind of adjustments that might be needed in light of any changes that might have happened between the time of your application and the time of your award. But in general, you want to answer the kinds of questions that are being asked in the most kind of specific and comprehensive way possible. I will say that this year we did, in the event that your proposal, in the event that you have a strategic plan already, we now do have a process for tribes if they want to basically request that their own strategic planning process just be used instead of having to go through the process that we do. We do have a process for that now, which is new. So there might be a little bit more information than the people who are not grantees need. But if anyone wants to clarify anything, please go ahead and type it in.
We received 2016 funds for Purpose Area 8. Are we eligible for Purpose Area 9 if we never received Purpose Area 9 funding before?
The answer to that is yes. You are eligible for Purpose Area 9.
So, will strategic planning TA be provided pre-award? Please clarify.
Yeah, the answer to that is no. The strategic planning technical assistance is provided post-award.
Okay, we have about 6 more minutes. If we have any additional questions, please include them in the question and answer pod.
One question that's come up on some of the other webinars pretty frequently is people would like to know how they can receive their peer review comments from previous years or from last year. And if you have not received, if you applied last year for either of these purpose areas and for some reason you don't have access to those peer review comments, you can request them through the Response Center, which is tribalgrants@usdoj.gov or 1-800-421-6770. You also should know that the peer review comments were sent to whoever were the point of contact in GMS for last year. So you can also access them through that person who would have received them earlier this year. Earlier this period. They would have received them after October 1 when the announcements were made.
Okay, a question came in, a couple of them. Would scholarships be eligible for students in Purpose Area 9? Scholarships for training, private school programs, ACT, SAT prep.
Scholarships are allowable.
We applied a while back for a wellness court grant. Can we also get a copy from the Response Center, or where do we go to get a copy?
I'm going to assume that when you say copy, you mean a copy of your peer review comments. And yes, you would request them through the Response Center. And again, the Response Center contact information is in the box at the bottom of your screen in the middle that says presenter contact information.
I would like a copy of the grant.
Oh, okay. So Sherry, I think what you're saying is that you would like to have a copy of the application that was submitted in the past from your tribe.
Yes.
Okay. You can request that from the response center. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get that to you. The other way that you might be able to get it is by figuring out who is the contact person in GMS, the authorizing official, and it should be as part of your GMS record of the past. And so there's actually a help desk for GMS. We have that contact information earlier in this presentation, but I'll type it in again. It's the GMS help desk. It's 888-549-9901. And you can ask them to lead you through, the sort of archive of your documents in GMS. It may be that if you're not seeing it in there, it may be because you don't have the access and only your authorizing official has the access. So you might need to get your authorizing official involved to give you access.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for attending the webinar today. Again, if you have additional questions, please contact the DOJ Response Center at tribalgrants@usdoj.gov or toll-free 1-800-421-6770. Thank you very much and have a great day.